Today is November 25th, 2024. My name is Karis Lai, and I'm here today with Leonard Chan on behalf of the Houston Asian American Archive at Rice University. So we are going to start with the basics. So could you please state your full name and where and when you were born?
Leonard Ng Chan, Leonardng, Chan, Chan. I was born in Houston, Texas, April 8, 1984.
Awesome. And do you know the story behind your name, like how your parents picked it?
Yes. It was pretty much just go with the alliteration of my dad's name, which is Lumen. And that's pretty much it.
Nice. So you have a similar alliteration technique
Yes.
going on. Okay, awesome. And do you have like a Filipino or Chinese name?
There's a Chinese name, but I think only my grandparents gave it to me. Don't really use it at all. Chan Anming. The funny thing is my dad's Chinese name is Yao Ming, so a lot of relatives were very disappointed in the early 2000s when they heard Yao Ming was visiting and they got someone that was 5'7", 5'8" show up.
That's really good. And so you mentioned you were born in Houston. Have you lived in Houston your whole life?
I lived in Sugarland, essentially. My childhood years, lived in Houston, 84 through 88, so my toddler years in Sharpstown. Moved to Sugar Lland in 88, then went to Rice, so I still voted in Sugar Lland and University of Houston for graduate school. Moved to the Austin area from August 2009 through June, July of 2018.
Nice. So you've stayed in the Texas area?
Yes.
Okay.
The longest stretch I've been out of Texas was 6 weeks doing an internship on Capitol Hill right before my senior year of college here.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And do you have a sibling?
Yes, I have two siblings. My brother is Andrew, 2 years younger. My sister's 5 years younger, Ann Margaret. She's a school teacher in Boston.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you are the oldest.
Yes.
What was it like kind of growing up being the oldest brother?
Pretty much being the responsible one, although my sister would beg to differ. She's much more independent, but I was pretty much charged of making sure no one gets in trouble, including amongst my peers. Like in high school, there were times where my friends' parents, if they knew they were with me, they didn't have their curfews were lifted. Heck, my house was used as a cover story on where they actually were. It helps though when they actually would tell me that I was the cover story, because their parents aren't happy when I was like, I don't know where they're at. When they call, it's like, well, we just dropped them off there an hour ago. Also, like, I was student council from 5th grade onwards, president of my elementary school. So I also couldn't talk until I was like 4. Apparently runs in the family. At first, I just blamed my parents for mixing up 5 different languages in the same sentence. So I was a year behind all my peers. So I had a driver's license before a lot of my classmates, could vote before all of them, and so forth.
So you have the benefits and I guess the
burden.
The burden
And responsibilities.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you said you were president of your elementary school?
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
We did 5th grade elementary school. We did student council 4th and 5th grade, didn't get elected 4th. 5th grade, the student body was a student. We ran a school store. The 5th grade teacher would actually have us call the school supply company, and it's like, all right, we're going to order these. And we also did food tasting of the new cafeteria items. And also our budget was used. I think we bought Legos for the kindergartners.
That's so funny. That's great. So even early on, you were kind of in the political realm.
It's like just like having the confidence of your peers and trust that makes a difference, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel like, I guess you said you didn't get elected 4th grade. What was the difference between 4th and 5th grade?
Just I don't know. It's like it's the same group of people. I think there's just more. There's also more spots in 5th grade.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. And I guess a little bit more on your siblings. Are you guys very similar in personality or very different?
I would say each one of us are unique. My brother's the complete introvert. My sister's the much more charismatic than I am and much more talented. And I get on with just grit and hard work. My brother's the completely quiet one. My sister is the one that gets all the attention.
And you just like gritted through and you're like work hard and...
Yeah, and my sister and I did a lot of the same things growing up, except she did everything better. I was vice president of the high school. She was district officer for the surrounding Houston area. I did karaoke. She was all-state choir, for example. Where I was a camper for some things, she was actually the camp counselor.
That's funny. So you were outshone by your younger sibling.
Actually, like another example was yearbook. I was rookie of the year my senior year. She was editor-in-chief. The thing is, a lot of my friends had younger siblings her age, so we kind of had the same social circles. And my parents were involved, but not as like integrated to the other social networks amongst the parents group. So gossip traveled faster amongst the little siblings, faster than they did amongst ourselves or the parents.
That's so funny. That was where the real drama was at.
Yeah, we were like, how do you know that? It's like, well, so-and-so. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's a little unnerving too, I guess.
Yes.
And what did your parents do when you were growing up?
My dad was an electric engineer. He retired back in 2016, 2017, around that time. Stayed with the same company from 1978 or so until he retired with Bechtel in Houston. My mom stayed home until my sister was elementary school, and then she became a cafeteria school worker, just because the schedules matched. She loved working with kids and loved cooking. Mm-hmm. So it just was, the schedules matched up, even though she did get a degree in business back in the Philippines.
Okay, gotcha. And so your mom is Filipino and your dad is...
No, both my parents are Chinese blood.
Okay.
But 3 of my 4 grandparents were born in the Philippines.
Okay.
And then my grandmothers actually were classmates together growing up. And they just happened to stay connected, and that's how my parents got introduced to each other later on as adults. Mm-hmm. My dad I would say, my dad's Catholic, but all of his siblings are Protestant, essentially. My mom's Protestant, her entire family. Okay,
gotcha. How did that work out between your 2 parents?
Never made a difference. Like, I grew up, we were raised all Catholic. My mom would go to church with my dad every Sunday, but she never converted. And it was just, never was an issue, I feel.
Gotcha, okay, so they kind of like agreed to raise you guys Catholic, but she would still identify as Protestant.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. And how do you kind of describe your parents' parenting style?
Got much more relaxed with each sibling. I would say they let us do what we wanted, like let us pursue our own interest, like very supportive, and they wanted us to do well and very kind of emphasize education, but at the same time let us pursue our own interests. Like, I had comments when I was here as an undergrad, it's like, whoa, your parents are letting you be a political science major? And I'm like, well, my brother's a fine arts major. And I think it's also a product of my dad's side of the family being a lot of educators. So my sister was, like, encouraged to go into teaching. Like, my grandmother was a school teacher, my cousin, and so forth. I think, like, my sister might have had a different experience because my grandparents moved. My sophomore year of high school, towards the end, we actually moved in with our grandparents just to help support them and such. So having 4 sets of adults per se for my younger siblings might have changed their experience a little bit more, whereas I only did it for my last 2 years high school. And we were pretty independent. They're like, yeah, just come home by dinner, you can walk home, whatever. There was a lot of trust. It wasn't like helicopter parenting or anything like that, which also kind of maybe have clashed with my peers or even extended family of, you're letting your kid do that? It's like, why not? And I think that really helped me coming here, because I think a lot of folks that kind of struggle their freshman year here at Rice is they don't know how to handle freedom. They don't know how to handle the independence. At the same time, it's like I noticed my parents got more lax with each passing child, and yet my 2 siblings were probably still like, they were all hovering and whatever. I'm like, you have no idea.
I totally get that. Like when I saw, like my sister got a phone so much earlier than me, and she was like, oh, like they're so strict. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's like they encourage our activities, and they like when I took that internship in DC before my senior year of college, they're like, hey, it's once in a lifetime. Don't worry about the costs. Just do it. Summer camps, like granted, I would say not until late elementary, middle school, my parents were comfortable just like letting us be on our own.
Gotcha. Okay. And I guess like I was wondering too, like, did you grow up celebrating any like Chinese holidays or do traditions like that?
Chinese New Year.
Okay.
Heck, we have my aunt's the one spearheading it, but made me in charge because this is being taped, so it's stressful to run a Zoom family reunion on Chinese New Year weekend every year, but it's worth it.
Gotcha. Zoom sounds like quite the time.
It was supposed to be in person, but the pandemic hit, and they were like, oh, let's just do Zoom from here on out. And I'm getting text messages from the cousins of, hey, you need to cap how long they should speak. And another text is like, just let them be. I'm like, if you guys want to run it, you're free to do so.
The leadership position is open.
Yes, but it's worth it.
No, that's great. It's the pros and cons of technology.
But I would say the biggest challenge, this is my dad's side of the family, is we're very international. So trying to find a Zoom time that meets the German side of the family alongside with the Hong Kong side is a challenge. And the ones that sometimes are stuck are the ones with the toddlers on the East Coast. And since I'm on the topic, like my uncle married someone, a German woman, that my aunt, and they're still living in Germany. One of my second cousins married a Jewish guy, gentleman in New York. My sister's married to a Swedish American. So it's a very like melting pot, and a lot of traditions just being blended together, but we're all still family on my dad's side.
Wow, that's really interesting. Did your extended family have like comments on them marrying outside of like a singular like Asian or not?
Because that mold was already broken before I was born. My Aunt Susan married my Uncle Ron years before I was born. My Uncle Ron, he actually teaches Chinese poetry at Stanford, and he speaks the best Mandarin out of everyone, of course. I can't speak, or the only thing I understand is food items. So that was in the 70s. So it's already kind of like, it's nothing unusual. Although some other folks might comment, it's kind of like a given now.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. And you mentioned that you can't speak. Like, what language did you mainly speak at home? Or did you learn any?
So I can only speak English, and my Rosetta Stone on Spanish has kind of fallen off by mid-year this year. My grandmother tried to teach us Chinese, Mandarin over the summer before they moved in with us, but it never took. My sister was actually put through Chinese school. My cousin Matthew took Japanese in high school, but I think some of my older cousins, I would say Tagalog, Cantonese would be the two primary, if there's other languages. My parents can speak Taiwanese, Tagalog, Mandarin, English. The thing is, like I mentioned, they will just blend it all in one sentence. And I always struggle with languages. Like, as you know, there's what is the D1 distribution for foreign language? I avoided that like the plague to protect my GPA. If I had to take a language, it would have been Spanish. I do regret not being a little more proficient. Like, I can still read Spanish. That's what I took throughout high school. But otherwise, I can understand when my parents are talking more or less on certain languages. A lot of my parents' social circles are Filipino, so I have no idea what they're talking about half the time when at the dinner table. My parents still do like a monthly dinner with their Filipino friends.
And you're just like trying to guess at like the 50% that you can pick
Ignorance
out?
is bliss at times, though.
That makes sense. I also was wondering if you could tell me more about your experience growing up Catholic. Like, did you have a big community around going to church, or was it just like a side part of your life?
I would say I was a weekly attendee. I was also a religious studies major here and Catholic Student Association president, so keep that in mind. Co-president. My co-president would not appreciate it if I took all credit. But I would say growing up as a Chinese, like that was actually part of my topic for my application here. Like, what makes you unique? I was like, well, most Cantonese blood individuals that are Christians aren't Catholic. But at the same time, my familial ties, like just my background, family background, they grew up in Manila, so that's a heavily Catholic country. A lot of the folks in the Sugarland area, if they're Christian, Asian, would go to, I believe it was Fort Bend Community Church, and so did my cousins. So there were, and it was a very diverse crowd, like Catholic meaning universal, like it kind of spanned across all ethnicities and races. And I would attend every Sunday, also attend confirmation classes in Sunday school whenever it was scheduled from first grade onwards. And the sacrificial mentality was what really resonated with me. Just sacrificing for your friends, for your community. And it was not anti-intellectual. Like some folks, their charisms are much more mystical, spiritual. Mine was much more the intellectual side. So just conversing with folks, we still keep in contact. Heck, we have a text group amongst like 4 of us, plus one of my Jewish friends, talking about Astros and smoking meats and barbecue. Like during the off season, it turns from a sports-oriented text group to more of a let's talk about food and also some theological items here and there. So yeah, I would say it was strong part of my identity. It still is. And the love your neighbors as yourself is a huge part. And I learned as I got older, it mattered. Like, even though I know the basics of the theology, it's much more important on how you treat others. Like, after I left Houston, I was 2 years, like, I found community at the church still. Just happened that one of my high school classmates was sitting a pew behind me. It's like, hey, we need help teaching the high schoolers. And that kind of provided my anchor for the next 9+ years there. Even when I moved back, I got I wouldn't say guilt tripped. I wanted to come back. I felt really bad for the seniors I left behind, so I chaperoned their post-graduation trip to Tiger, Georgia, because I was like, I'll come back for your trip. They were really unhappy I left because I had the same group from their freshman year onwards. So leaving right before their senior year was something I was like, I know, I'm sorry. But just by coincidence, one of my high school classmates, I haven't seen her in like 4 years, behind like 6 years from high school graduation to that moment. Then just got recruited. It's like, hey, we need some more volunteers, and provided an anchor, especially when I was trying to be settled in Austin. Like being in Austin, being outside, like I knew a lot of folks in Austin, but at the same time, it's a rougher transition from just going to a completely new city in your mid-20s for the first time in your life. Like I had 10 friends from high school that went to Rice that I could see like on a weekly basis. But being an adult transitioning out of Houston, new city, everyone has their own life. It was rough.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like, I feel like I've talked to so many people who they say like, you gotta take advantage of the friends that you made in college, because afterwards people are just like have like so much of their own lives, like what you were saying.
And Austin is a very different culture. You're trying to figure out where to eat, where's the grocery store, and just I would say I was spoiled at Rice. Like they would take out our trash, clean our bathrooms. I went on a business trip for a week, and I didn't take out the trash for a few days before. And I come back, there's flies all over. I'm like, and it's around 11 p.m. And I'm like, it's way too late to go to Walmart. I have to go to work in the next day. Oh well. Just rough it. Like stereotypical, oh geez, I don't know how to have life skills.
That's so funny. Were you one of the boys who did laundry in college? Like you're like, I've done laundry before.
I've done laundry before.
Okay.
Like that. Like I knew some of my classmates never did a load of laundry in their lives before coming here, which was like, you just put it in there. Like if it's sensitive, like if you, depending on your clothes, you might have to separate your darks, stuff like that. But it like. Rice spoils folks here, in all honesty.
Definitely. I was wondering, you mentioned like that Manila is a very Catholic place. Do you have any idea as to why?
Because it was under Spanish occupation until the Spanish-American War. So it's like just the colonial history of it all. It's just interesting that my mom's side is all Protestant. And a lot of my dad's siblings are still Protestant, so, but it's just part of the culture.
Why didn't you did you ever consider Protestantism, or were you always like just more attracted to Catholicism?
I would say I was always more attracted to Catholicism. I think it's like, even if people fail in it, the principles still hold true. And I think there needs to be, what's the best way to put it? It's like the institutions also need to come to face that, hey, there's still room for improvement, and acknowledge its own shortcomings, just like how it expects individuals to do so. Like the first wave of the sex abuse scandal happened when I was in high school. It was treated as like, oh, that's just media hype. It's just somewhere way off in Boston, and it's only like X percentage. And when the second wave came, and I knew people, I wouldn't say close, but I don't know the details fully, but I know people that have been victims. And when that second wave came in 2018, 2019, I was like, the more you just blame the media, the more you just say it's someone else, like look at them, what about them? You're not resolving the issue. And that has kind of shaped my views on politics as well.
Yeah.
Because my first, I guess, world memory that, super young, but at the same time, you remember these things, just like how some folks, their biggest memory as a child was 9/11. My first world memory, global impact, was the fall of the Berlin Wall. That just the sense of optimism, this sense of, hey, we have to change these maps in the classrooms. Oh, that globe that you got for your Christmas gift, that's out of date. Just the optimism of the early 90s, even though I was super young, you could feel it.
Yeah.
Of, hey, democracy's on the rise. There's no more threat of nuclear warfare. We somehow ended the Cold War peacefully. Your teachers would talk about it. My parents would talk about it. So that kind of shaped a lot of my worldviews of this optimism, this idea of the world can collaborate together for a greater good. And then I remember watching, at the baseball card shop, pretty much the end of the the first Persian Gulf. I do remember the Persian Gulf War. It's this was an easy victory, peace in our time type of vibe of, tyrants aren't going to triumph in this generation. So, because there was a television and baseball card shop, and that's where a lot of us would visit the comic book store, which is kind of an antiquated idea now. And I didn't grow up with cable, so a lot of my television watching was PBS, and a lot of sports. So.
Gotcha. So I guess kind of then going into your Rice education, you triple majored.
Yes.
In political science, religious studies, and history. What led you to get the triple major? Did you just start adding as you went? Did you come in knowing what you wanted to do?
I knew I was doing political science.
Okay.
Religious studies was I thought it was just going to be I'll just take a few rally courses. And back then, the requirements were a little, let's face it, a little looser. And then the first class I took, I did not realize 300 level class meant junior level, and I didn't take the prereqs, but I survived. And I was I turned an audit class to an A, just take the A minus. And I just took a lot of classes that kind of revolved around church-state relations, the role of religion in the fall of the Soviet Union, the role of the church in Latin America, some Reformation and early Christianity courses. So it kind of just all blended together.
Yeah.
My history major, I was always considering doing history, but what sealed it for me is I was talking to the history advisor before my final semester, and he's like, you're one class short of a history major, just finish it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, might as well.
But they're all interconnected.
Gotcha. No, that makes a lot of sense. I'm super interested in that intersection between how studying how the power, I guess, of religious institutions, and then how then I feel there's always a gap between maybe the what people are learning and teaching, and then I guess how then
you practice it.
Yeah, practice it. So
yeah. A few more things is there was what really helped getting the triple major was Christians and Jews under medieval Islam, which counted for all three. But I would say in grad school, one of my classmates, his interest area, he was the PhD track, I was not. A lot of his early work was like the religiosity of voting. He was trying to look at some of the factors that like affect voting patterns on religious affiliation and so forth and so on. To his dismay, he was also one of the early scholars on the alt-right at the University of Alabama. I actually helped review some of his early manuscripts, for 2 of his books at least. Got credit for being a reviewer. And he's like, well, my publisher really wants me to add this, like the first book I helped him with, just doing a read-through, was Right-Wing Critics of American Conservatism. It's like different tracks of different, it's an intellectual history of different movements in the United States on the conservative side. And the final chapter was on the alt-right. I'm like, hey, George, do you want this chapter in your book? Like, the FBI might have a file on you on this, or something. We joked. He's like, well, I think the FBI already has a file on me if I wasn't a professor. Heck, I think they probably already do. And that chapter, this was in 2014, 2015, and it been expanded into a bigger book. And this was right during the Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, Trump ascension, and it drew a lot of attention. And so his advisors, was like, hey, can you do, his publishers and so forth, like, keep working on this topic because this will get your tenure fast-tracked.
That's so funny. It happened to work, and that's pretty crazy, especially given like the time span of it too.
Just the trajectory of it all.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. I was wondering also, like, how did your time at college change or solidify certain political views that you held?
Oh, I would say it helped mature in them. Like, I would say politically, my emphasis has always been good ethics, good policy. I would say good ethics, good execution, and good policy are what I look at. I think somebody that is dishonorable, that's championing a cause you believe in, actually discredits that cause. I'm like, if he's our champion, how do we have credibility on these other topics and issues? If they just caught for bribery or corruption, it's like, do I really want to be associated with that? I think some views that have shifted during college was, I was here during the Iraq War, and I respect General Powell, and that's why I kind of like supported the initial justification of the war in Iraq. But granted, I was in high school at the time when it all first started. At the same time, it's like learning what we learn now. It's like we have to understand. It's like people are working with the best information they have in front of them. At the same time, if we make the wrong calculations and wrong judgments, there are consequences. I would still say a lot of the principles in foreign policy, I'm still aligned with that, like the Powell doctrines, like, hey, we should have a reason to go in for any military action, have an exit strategy, like have clear objectives, and do it as humanely but quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. I would also, and it's also the biggest like mind shift is realizing this is not just an academic exercise. I think I learned that a little bit more later, especially my first professional job, is this is not just an exercise of hypotheticals. This is actually affecting real people. The policies, the ideas we're putting down on paper, like what we say and do, our words have meaning, our words can spur action. Mm-hmm. And we should always be conscious of that. It's not being, quote, a snowflake or being soft or whatever. It's like real people are affected. Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's a good reminder, especially with the way that humanities can tend to just feel like you're just in an echo chamber of like theory and like you can't see directly
the actual people being affected. It's like when there's like, these people's like, those are still people with families. Those are still individuals. And we also have to set realistic expectations, because if we oversell and embellish what we're promising or who we are, that's just going to lead to much more issues down the road. I don't care about what it looks like. I want to know what the substance is. And I would say, like, looking back though, there are a handful, if you look deep enough, there are a handful of letters to the editor of the Houston Chronicle that you can find that I authored, but I regret none of them. Even if it's the one that's saying that we should push the high school baseball playoffs until after everyone graduates, so no one's playing a baseball game the same day they graduate.
Nice. Good to know if I ever want to dive into the Thresher archive.
Or the Houston Chronicle archives.
Oh, wow. I'm interested in your experience studying humanities at Rice, given like, now, I know that my experience has definitely been like, I know this is a STEM-heavy school, but I think there are pros and cons to studying humanities.
It was a very collegial atmosphere, even in political science, where you expect, like, oh, we're trying to one-up each other. No, everyone got along for the most part, because we're all in this experience together. No one benefits when you're holding back talent. Granted, I was the one of 2 or 3 other people that in my cohort in political science that did not consider law school at all, which made me a little bit of a unicorn. On top of that, I think my graduating year, one of the very few Asian males in political science, and was there from the day one. Which was also interesting, because I was like, oh, I guess everyone else is in engineering.
Not surprising.
So I guess my social circles were much more, it's diverse regardless, but I was like much more leaning towards, like, I was not part of any of the like Asian student groups here. There was just not a natural fit to just merge into it.
No, that makes sense. Did you know like what you wanted to do post-college coming in?
Not really. Like, the thing is, if you walk around a job fair your junior year, like, no one's really looking for any political science or history majors. And I was like, I don't want to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
I could imagine myself being a staffer. Like, actually, when I was younger, I did dream of going to the State Department. Like, Secretary of State type of track, just dreamer's world. What held me back was lack of foreign language. 2 is I have a weak stomach. I'm allergic to way too many things. I did take the Foreign Service exam twice, once right after grad school, and once a handful of years later, passed both times, I passed the test. I failed the personal narratives. I'm not sure if my life was too interesting or not interesting enough. But like, I was thinking more of like civil service type of role.
Okay.
Looking back, I think my essay, my application here is like being able to affect lives at a broad level with just a stroke of a pen.
Yeah, definitely. And is that why you decided to go into public administration next?
Oh, well, there was also a recession. Or no, grad school was all honestly a way to just postpone joining the real world. I think grad school does increase your floor by quite a bit. I was looking at between U of H and A&M. U of H gave me a full ride for a master's program with stipend. My grandparents that were here were getting older. Being more able to show up for the family events was a big appeal. And I had a lot of friends that were still undergrads, that so I was like, might as well, especially if it's a full ride. Like, they actually sent me 2 acceptance letters. Once, hey, if you want to be a PhD, I was like, I didn't even apply for that. And here's the master's, and they're like, well, if you wanted to stay 4 more years, you can.
Wow.
You don't need to make that decision today. So I did my public admin master's and just kind of stayed in the medicine area during those 2 years.
Gotcha. And how did you choose public admin?
Because I think it's just like a lot of the stuff that you learn in undergrad is more like abstract, theoretical. I think grad school, especially a professional master's, gives you an opportunity to actually learn how to apply that.
Gotcha.
To more concrete examples. And my cohort in grad school, I would say there were 4 of us. There were some that were part-timing and just staggering their classes. But I would dare say there were 4 of us that I was there essentially from day 1 through graduation, and it finished up in 2 years. So it's this very small program at the time. They're growing like no other. They just integrated an undergrad program this past year.
Oh, wow.
For public administration, public policy. And yeah, it's just also there, like, you can have the greatest policy in the world, but if you can't execute, what's the point?
Very true, very true. I guess, how did you decide to pursue your current career now?
I was unemployed. After the 82nd Legislature, worked for Sunset, I was job hunting. Honestly, I was probably too young and too green to work for the Ledge at that time in that role. And there was a lot of other personal stuff going on at the time. But I was unemployed. I think that was the recession was there was budget cuts also. Everyone and sent a bunch of applications everywhere. Going to workers' comp orientation, not workers' comp, unemployment insurance, orientation, because you can't collect unemployment unless you go to orientation, was so. It's like, I need to get off of this as fast as possible, because just the way that the shame that the system tries to bring on people kind of just compels, for me, I was like, compels me. It's like,
anything but being here.
Yes, anything but being here. I don't need to be in a class on how to type. I don't need to be in a class.
Oh gosh. Yeah, what type of things did they make you do in orientation?
It's like, pretty much like, these are the resources, so forth and so on. You also need to show proof that you're applying to X number of jobs each week, no matter what it is.
Okay.
So it was like, it's like, there's enough pressure there of like, you need to get off of this. But at the same time, you send out dozens of applications and you don't hear anything for months because HR departments are notoriously slow.
Right.
So I finally got an email with Cedar Park. And I forgot what I even applied for, so I had to look up my cover letters. And then it was a good atmosphere. Was there for 6.5 years, but when I first started, it's like, hey, I still was doing stuff I can apply. I understood, I knew my limitations of what I knew and what I didn't know. Get out in the field, understand what the folks are talking about, and just learning the job. And fire departments are much less stuffy than the state capitol or Capitol Hill. Because I think there's a much more familiar atmosphere in the fire service. Yes, there's a lot of pettiness.
Okay.
It's like working for a frat house with no alcohol.
Really?
Like each fire station is like its own little family union
That's so funny.
because they are stuck with each other for 24 straight
Right,
hours
I guess
or more.
they are just like sleep deprived together.
They're cooking together. They're arguing about what TV show to watch, asking who's dating who, stuff like that. It's much more familial. I think that was a good thing. And less, like, people are still, like sure, people are like, oh, I want to get this promotion or whatever, but it's not status driven. I feel
Yeah.
like that's not the predominant culture.
Gotcha.
People would rather avoid it. They would rather just like, let's work out, let's go to run this medical call, let's serve the public. Fundamentally, like, people might say, oh, I'm doing this job for the schedule or because I whatever, but at the same time, it's like, and you can do those type of gigs outside of public service, but what I would say the public driver for those is like, hey, we can have fun while still making a difference.
Yeah.
I heard this secondhand. One of the firefighters said, yeah, we, over there, it's like, I used to be against having an award ceremony. It seems like really cheesy and so forth, but then I was talking to a veteran that served in armed forces before becoming a firefighter. It's like, something like that makes you realize, hey, we can still do some good after seeing all this stuff that we did overseas.
So it is like a very uplifting experience for him.
Yeah.
That's great.
At the same time, I had a firefighter said, hey, this is my third failed child CPR call in a row. And I'm like, that wears on folks.
Yeah.
And it's something that they need support on.
Do you feel like there's inadequate support right now?
I think there's always going to be improving. Texas is actually in the forefront.
Okay.
And taking care of its first responders.
Okay.
Like, they don't need to say it came from this one incident. It's taking in actual expert advice of, hey, you can have accumulation of incidents that affect you. It doesn't have to be one mass shooting type of call. A couple of years ago, I actually helped co-write a book chapter on the legal and legislative issues in first responder mental health with a lawyer in the Pennsylvania area. So Texas, in the two departments I've been part of in the fire service, have put a strong emphasis on mental health, standing up a peer support team, having, like, my original department has a psychologist on retainer. They do mental resiliency evaluations as part of their annual checkups. Here in Houston, we also have a peer support team. We have 2 psychologists on staff. There's resources available. Of course, no matter how many resources you have, there's always someone that might be afraid to ask for help. Like, as for myself, when I was in Cedar Park, I got American Red Cross to administer psychological first aid training to do the regional first responders, help coordinate that. I went through suicide intervention training myself. And I think that those resources sometimes get overlooked, but there's an increasing acknowledgement that these things need to be taken care of. And I think Houston and Cedar Park and the rest of Texas has placed the appropriate focus on trying to shore up those programs.
No, that's so great to hear. That's really, honestly, very inspiring. What other things have you, like, kind of worked on with them besides, like, trying to get adequate, like, mental health resources?
When I was in Cedar Park, we actually partnered with University of Texas Nutritional Sciences Department. And at first I was like, I'm the accreditation manager. One of the accreditation items, like, hey, we need nutrition training. And I approached them, it's like, hey, we can use some nutritional, because part of their, like, coursework is, like, providing training to live audiences. And I was also put it in the same email, like, and we're willing to, like, do research if y'all are interested. And that turned out to be a 3-year collaboration until their lead researcher left for another university and took the funding. But they did dietary diaries, because cardiac health is really important for first responders. And and they also signed off on sharing their medical physicals blood work. All the privacy protected.
Right.
We don't have access because of HIPAA and all of that, but for research purposes, anonymized. So they realized how much beef jerky and sodium intake the firefighters were having, because a bag of beef jerky is not supposed to be eaten in one sitting. And they did presentations on the department personnel on their own data. And they're like, your sodium intake, the BMI, the body fat percentage. And you didn't see jerky at the stations for a good handful of months, because I think they were scared and realized, hey, this is not just like some far off department. This is our own data that's saying we have poor dietary habits. Like for Houston, I would say what I'm most proud of is actually other people's work. When I came on board in 2018, we had 2 hazmat units for the entire city of Houston. We account for, granted, they only run calls that involve chemicals.
Okay.
We account for 2/3 of the chemical facilities in the state. And that's making the very optimistic assumption that all those facilities are reporting.
Right.
In comparison, like granted in Central Texas, they're doing more than just chemical calls, but we're a handful more units. So we enlisted the University of Houston's Hobby School of Public Policy, my alma mater's, and for a couple capstone projects, they were analyzing hazardous materials risk and response times for the city of Houston for hazmat. And February 2021, the first expansion of the hazmat team since 1979 happened. So we put in a unit on the northwest side of town. So using data and using the analytics, also getting the students there to collaborate and talk with the actual responders made a difference. Understanding the data, and just building the case. Like, if you make public policy, I feel shouldn't be run by emotion, but make a case so compelling that it's really hard to deny.
No, that makes sense. What is like some other things that you have learned, I guess, about first responders, having interacted with them so much that other people might not know? The thing is, it's like I tell them, it's like, hey, a lot of folks think what you do is routine, is really exciting, but once you're in it for so long, it's like you just treat it as so routine, you know? I would say, I would say it's the amount of how much things cost in terms of equipment, and when you're saying, oh, we want to cut taxes, we need to cut the waste, it's like most of your government services are there for a purpose. Like a fire truck these days costs at least a decent fire truck $1 million. And it takes 2 to 3 years to build, even when you do have the money. And the training that goes behind it, the maintenance, it's like, sure, you bought the fire truck, but you still have to maintain it. Like their gear, you can't just buy that off Amazon for a couple $100s. And there's always advances in science and trying to make sure it just protects you on the scene, but also doesn't harm you, because just like how a good example is like bleach. It's good to use bleach to clean things, but too much exposure to it's going to cause harm. Right.
So a lot of the personal protective equipment, there are trade-offs involved, and that's still being studied. I would say it's not an exercise of also for the first responders of it shouldn't be an occupation dominant by just pro athlete males. This occupation, it's more about like skills and mental as much as it is about physical.
Right.
Who cares if you're the strongest person there if you are entering the building in the wrong entrance, right? And it's kind of sad that I think the fire service is behind construction workers and police officers in terms of female representation. And it's not an issue about DEI versus, but there's still an atmosphere in certain departments, I feel. I heard so many stories from my colleagues from other departments on the discrimination and harassment they face. And they just attribute that to as, oh, that's just station talk. But I think that's one issue in terms of retention.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's like just the toll it takes on folks. It's like, hey, it's not like, oh, we need to have X number of women. It's like, no, we need to make the environment welcoming for people that can do the job.
Right.
I fear the fire service is going to because, like, I think we made strides. I think towards minorities, not just ethnic, but also the gender, religious, and minorities. There's going to be struggles.
Do you feel like I feel like I've read so many articles about how also people, younger generations, are less interested in going into like first responder jobs. Have you like noticed?
Oh yeah, much fewer applicants than there were traditionally. I think part of it is more knowledge on the risk people are facing. Also, the more structured lifestyle that involves. And also, I believe that the hiring processes for a lot of departments in a lot of states is geared for years past. Learning that you're not going to have if you have the job or not within 7 months. Like you're put on, like for civil service departments, for example, you test for a job. That job might only have 2 openings, but there's 50 people that are on the list. And that list might stay active for 12 months. And there might be more openings, but if you're like number 10 on the list and you find a better opportunity and it's been months, or there's not even an opening yet, they're just keeping a list active. It's like, yeah, sorry, thanks, but no thanks. And there's like I just came from a Department of Defense. I evaluated their fire department a couple months back. And there's like trying to find ways to fast track things, like reduce the lag on when you're hiring somebody. When you know you're going to hire someone, it's like going through all the background checks and all of that. It takes time, but it also, you lose candidates.
Gotcha, because of just like, it's just old-fashioned system.
And generationally, people are less likely to know the difference between screwdrivers than they were 10 years ago. It's much more a digital world rather than a hands-on world.
Right. No, that makes sense. So the nature of work also changes. I was wondering, what was your experience like running for Texas House District? Like, yeah, I guess like what were like some of the main things that you took away from that experience?
I would say number one is actually 2 things. One, just this deep appreciation of the friends and family I have, the true friends and family that would do go to bat for me. Because there's sometimes like, someone that's like, oh, geez, I really hope they don't become a teacher or a doctor.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I was overwhelmed by the level of support by my friends and family. Even the ones that couldn't donate financially were very encouraging. And 2 is like, I'm proud that I never did anything on the campaign that forced me to go to a confessional. Because I was like, I'm not going to embellish anything, I feel. I'm not going to attack anyone unless I was not going to speak a false word about anyone else of the other candidates.
Right.
So one of the other candidates, after the fact, a couple years later, my parents were doing a road trip to Los Angeles. My dad ended up having to do emergency gallbladder surgery on Christmas Eve in Las Cruces, New Mexico. One of the other candidates actually invited me for Christmas Eve dinner.
Oh, wow.
Deeply appreciate it for that. Treating me as like a human instead of an asset. I would say on the negative side of what I learned is, one, a lot of people jump to conclusions without actually knowing the people. Or they're trying to treat you as an asset or as a tool for their own ends or means. Some things that also made me lose some faith in a lot of people, unfortunately. Just because of, like I said, a lot of those earlier comments of some folks just didn't really treat people as people. It's like, oh, they're I don't care what happened to those illegals, they're illegals anyways, or something like even before running for office, I heard that at a county convention in Williamson County. They're like, I don't care if those illegals get shot, they're illegals anyway. And the other people at my table were like, what? But he was just treating as part of the course. And keep in mind, this was right before the pandemic hit.
Okay. Wow.
So immigration was a huge issue, especially in the more rural parts of the district.
Yeah.
I was told, you don't care, you don't have kids, so you don't care about the border. I was also, like, some of the slurs used were unexpected. And I ran essentially to, like, amongst my peers, we realized I had more flexibility to do anything. Also, apparently, I have the squeakiest clean reputation when I was in school here.
They can't find any dirt to dig up on you. I actually had a conversation with one of my classmates when I was visiting in DC. I was like, was I social but had a squeaky clean reputation? It's like, yeah, probably the most so of the people that actually got out of their rooms. That's so funny.
So part of that, like, it was when I was asked why I was running. It's like, this is my community. When I was asked, so are you pro-Trump or anti-Trump? It's like, well, I'm pro Sugar Lland. This is my hometown, which was enough to get that. And I was probably the most open about being critical about Trump during that time. I was like, a lot of the values did not resonate with me from that administration. And I was like, hey, I need to show that, hey, it's still possible to run on a more positive policy-based platform of education, ethics, transportation, public safety, and whereas everyone else, not just the office I was running for, but everyone else was focused on border wall, immigration, and so forth and so on. So I was trying to show a different path. I just didn't lack the financial resources. A lot of folks personally told me we would have donated with our lobby group, but we don't want to be caught in retribution in like once or anyone else would have won. They were trying to stay neutral.
Gotcha.
And I already knew it was all over once the governor endorsed one of the other candidates.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
He never met with me. It was kind of, it seemed like it was predetermined.
Okay. Yeah.
But he actually finished second before the runoff.
Okay.
The lead candidate missed by 50 votes at the time. So the runoff, the candidate that ended up winning that cycle just poured in pretty much enough money to have a commercial on Fox News every morning.
Wow.
With the governor. So I was like,
you did not have those resources.
I don't have those resources. And he actually he was on redistrict to district. He redistricted me out, but then he kept the other guy still in, and he actually defeated him this time around.
Oh, wow.
And I just stayed out of it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm done. I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
Working full time while running for office was a challenge.
Yeah, what were you doing at the same time?
Still working for Houston Fire.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, and everyone else, all these other 7 candidates, I think they took a leave of absence from their job. Or they were independently employed.
Okay.
So I was still working full time.
Wow.
Trying to show up to voters forums and answer all these questionnaires, and the number of lobby groups and special interest groups were staggering, often with their own surveys.
Right. Oh my gosh.
I wish Houston Chronicle Houston Chronicle didn't get involved in our race. They just reported on it. They didn't do any endorsements. They're like, oh, that's Sugarland.
Okay.
Like, really?
Like, please.
So, like, some of the lobby groups, I'm like, nope, not even doing theirs because I don't agree with their platform to begin with. And this was pre-pandemic. The anti-vaxxer group was already kind of getting up there. And when I did these surveys, one of the candidates, the one that ended up winning, didn't actually do any of the surveys. Like, he might have done 1 or 2. Or the newspaper interviews.
Yeah.
I did the ones that I was like, might as well just get the name out there.
Right.
But I wasn't going by any of the party lines. I was actually getting my Rice classmates, my high school classmates to help draft up positions.
So did you kind of go as independent?
Essentially, but I had to be in the Republican primary.
Okay, gotcha. So you were just a very atypical Republican candidate.
Yes. Like I said, the reason I affiliated with them is one, George H.W. Bush, Colin Powell, Joe Strauss was speaker in Texas, big influences. I interned under K. Bailey Hutchison when I was in college, same with John Cornyn, surrounded by really great staff. The thing is, a lot of the former staffers have the mentality right now of what in the world is going on? This isn't normal.
Yeah.
The ones that have a sense on how government actually should work from 10 years ago, it was like, it was working before. The people that complaining it's broken are the ones destroying it.
Yeah.
Interesting. So some of my healthcare stuff, I was talking to one of my high school classmates, one of my college classmates. They're both doctors, ER pediatricians. It's like, hey, how do you want me to answer this question on vaccines? And they're just like, oh, because they were really leading questions.
Yeah. Gotcha.
One of my classmates that was homeschooled, we walked through the homeschool lobby.
Okay. So you really got people's advice from who you knew.
And it seems like they already I think the homeschool lobby was surprised I self-identified as a moderate. They're like, no one ever actually does that. And there are certain groups that, I was like, based on their questions, they're not really about this. They're about that.
Something else.
Yeah.
No, that's so interesting.
They're different focus areas.
And I find it, do you feel like after that experience, do you feel like it's possible to go through politics without playing the game, basically? Making
It's possible.
Okay.
I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when you say it can't be done.
Okay.
And I have clashed with a lot of people, especially in the last 2 years about that. I'm like, well, he's corrupt, but so are they. But we had to play at the same level. I'm like, that sounds like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you're just enabling this behavior.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty open on, like heck, I was on freaking Nightline ABC News after the State of the Union, to do State of the Union commentary as part of a community panel back in 23 or 22. So I was like, yeah, ethics matter.
Yeah.
And when you're just like, oh, we're just going to vote for them because they're going to do what we want, but we have no choice, because I'm like, you have a choice. There was a primary one. You don't have to go for the one that's going to get indicted again. And I'm speaking with the Texas Attorney General. I'll go on record on that. Because when I had hope when, like, I actually was watching the impeachment hearings of Ken Paxton, and I'm like, I was really proud of those House reps that know it's near political suicide to go against him, to vote for impeachment because the facts of the case. But then when the Senate votes came in, and then hearing what the Lieutenant Governor said, made me lose pretty much all faith in the current state of the Texas Republican Party, in all honesty. That was pretty much my breaking point.
Gotcha.
I still vote in the primaries just so I can vote against certain individuals.
Okay. Gotcha. But it is hard. It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're so nitty gritty in the.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I would not run again unless I cannot put my friends and family through that again, unless I know I have like and I value my mental health too much. I need, like, like I said, I value my friends and family, but I can't have them burden the day-to-day stress of it.
Like seeing them like be stressed on your behalf.
Or me venting to them.
Right, because of everything that
else.
you have to deal with it.
And a lot of my friends, they're far more qualified than I am, but they're like, hey, wife and kids, or the husband and kids, come first.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's just crazy. I guess, like, lastly, in terms of career things, I was really interested when I saw you worked as a security officer.
Yeah, that's my stress relief gig.
Yes, I want to hear more about that. What is that experience like?
So I got recruited to do that because the fire inspectors in Cedar Park are like, hey, the hockey arena needs more folks. Your house is 3 minutes away by car or 15 minutes by foot. And you get to see the game, like, experience, like, people get human interaction and so forth. So I joined back. I've been a certified security officer since fall of my license says my dad's birthday is when I got my license, actually. I can carry a flashlight, I can carry a notepad, carry the radio. October 20th, 2015 is when I became an official non-commissioned security officer for the state of Texas.
Nice.
So I can check bags, but I also can work the barricades at concerts, make sure no one charges the stage, and I worked hockey games, basketball games. I have now seniority at HB Center. Like, whenever I go back, I usually work courtside, making sure no one charges the court. But it's a minor league basketball game, so you can see some of these big stars, up and rising stars, like Derek White, who's now with the Celtics. Was there playing for the Austin Spurs. I loved the 90s concert, security. That was a very fun night. They had Vanilla Ice, Salt and Pepper, Coolio, and then they had, who else have I worked? Vanilla Ice also brought the Ninja Turtles on stage for Ninja Rap.
Wow.
And he has more than just one hit, allegedly. Disney on Ice.
Oh, wow.
During the pandemic, Sister Hazel and Everclear did a drive-in concert.
Oh, nice.
It's Price is Right's traveling show.
Wow.
Who else was there? because I Backstreet Boys
Wow.
holiday concert, which was a disappointment for everybody because they only did 5 songs and they had 4 openers.
Oh no.
Kids Bop,
Wow.
Harlem Globetrotters.
Did anything ever happen at any, like, do you have any stories of, like, you actually having to, like, stop someone?
I've never thrown anyone out.
Okay.
I have some coworkers that had to.
Okay.
I had confrontational patrons. For example, there was a post-game kids party on the basketball court after a game, private party. And this father and daughter was trying to get his daughter in there, and he's like, "Are you going to tell my daughter she's not going to be able to go on the court?" It's like, "Yes, because this is a private party."
Yeah.
Supervisor told him the same thing, and he kind of stormed off.
Okay.
There was a Rick Springfield concert in which we were trying to clear arena. We allow people to finish their final drink, and there's just one person left, and we're trying to get her out, and she's like, "You're the cutest guy I've seen all week." And I'm like, "Okay, I can enjoy this attention." And she's like, "Being a single mom of 3 teenagers," I'm like, "Please leave. Get your
Like,
Uber."
never mind.
Here in Houston, I've worked the Houston Dash and Dynamo games. I go more to the low-key, low-stress events because I'm like, I'm too old for this.
Yeah.
I don't want to chase anyone streaking down or...
Yeah.
Usually the issues are drunk people. Or some people... another example is like Disney on Ice. Someone's like, "This knife is not a weapon, it's a tool." I'm like, "You still can't bring it in."
Oh no. So bad.
It's like I worked at Houston Symphony, which is more ushering.
Okay. Nice. Wow, you've done a
Miller
whole
Outdoor
range
Theater.
of things then.
Houston Dash, Houston Dynamo.
Gotcha.
More the low key that you won't have a soccer riot, because I've been to like the radio traffic that you get on big shows can get pretty hectic.
Yeah.
And I would say some groups take it too lax, and you can tell those folks are just essentially throwing on a red shirt because they need warm bodies, and they're really paying attention to concert rather than actually working.
Yeah.
And because if things go wrong, they can go really wrong.
Yeah.
The Travis Scott concert from years back.
Definitely.
And there's some surreal moments. Like comedy shows, I don't want to work ever again. Just the amount of marijuana involved.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And the comedians are usually late because they're doing marijuana backstage.
Okay.
So they're always off schedule.
Yeah.
And the sense of entitlement by some folks, may it be like from the actual staff of folks, like from the talent.
Yeah.
Or the like season ticket holders, like, "Hey, I paid so much for these season ticket holders."
Last question. Where and when do you feel most at home?
Oh, Texas. I would say most at home is with... I need at least someone I know in a room, in a big group that I know that I can lean on, that has known me for years. Just because I'm much more comfortable in that setting. Like here on campus, Sugarland, or most at home. I would say it's more affected by the people around me than where I am physically. Like if I'm with friends and like in let's say Denver, just having that familiarity makes a huge difference. Yeah.
No, that's great. That's awesome.
And I would say one last thing is like, yeah, I would, but in terms of like my other passions, one thing that I'm just because, I'm not sure I would put it down, but I think I like just giving back to the community. Some of the passions I have been like just the youth, also domestic violence cases. Like I grew up volunteering for the Fort Bend County Women's Center. And I know a lot of my close friends have been victims. I had a cousin that was murdered
Wow.
several years, like over 10 years now, I think. And another one of my friends, one of her close friends was killed in a domestic violence case. And stuff like that, I'm like, that's shouldn't ever happen. But people still kind of like, oh, that's just, it's not like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so.
Definitely.